Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to City Club Missoula's December Forum, Celebrating Success in Missoula. I'm Alex Karklins. I have the great privilege of serving as chair of the City Club Missoula Board of Directors in 2025. So this is my last forum introducing. Thank you all for being here today. City Club's mission is to bring together people to inform and inspire citizens on issues vital to the Missoula area community through public forums that encourage the discussion of new ideas and the free exchange of thought. We have a deep commitment to civility and civil discourse, even when discussing challenging topics. Some sincere thank yous. First, let me thank Missoula Community Access Television for recording all our forums as part of their media assistance grants to nonprofit organizations. MCAT serves our community on cable channels 189 and 190. You can view past forums on MCAT's YouTube channel. Special thank you to our executive level sponsors, Blackfoot Communications and First Security Bank. Our executive level sponsors are key partners in helping expand audience access and public awareness of upcoming forums. We are grateful to all our sponsors at all sponsorship levels for their generosity and advocacy for our mission. We invite you to join as a sponsor or as a member by visiting cityclubmissoula.com. Thank you to our board of directors and especially our administrator, Jenny Rohrbach, who keeps things running smoothly behind the scenes. City Club would also like to acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people, some of whom may be present with us today at this forum. Today we honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. Finally, 2025 marks the 20th anniversary of City Club Missoula. Thank you to all of those who have participated in our forums, provided sponsorships, and volunteered their time as board members over the years. We owe our current success to you. And now I'd like to introduce our presenters. So we have two presenters from the Downtown Missoula Partnership, which is a collaboration of three distinct organizations, the Missoula Downtown Association, Downtown Business Improvement District, and the Missoula Downtown Foundation. Throughout 2025, the partnership has been celebrating its 50th anniversary, having started as a small merchants association in 1975 in response to the development of Missoula's first indoor shopping center. Joining us today to share that journey are Linda McCarthy and Kristen Sackett. Kristen Sackett has served as the Marketing and Events Director since 2014 with a brief 2-year detour at Windfall. She oversees all the marketing campaigns, website, and social media in MDA's largest events, including Root Fest, Garden City Brew Fest, and the Downtown Tonight Summer Series. Most recently, she led the partnership's brand refresh and will share with us today the organization's history over the last 50 years. Linda McCarthy is the Executive Director of the Downtown Missoula Partnership and has led the organization's mission, management, and stewardship for the heart of Missoula for just over 25 years. She mentors a team of 9 full-time employees who lead and nurture a vibrant downtown as a place where people are inspired. And finally, we have Charlie Beaton, who is the founder and CEO of Big Dipper Ice Cream, established in 1995 on Missoula's Hip Strip. Since its founding, Big Dipper has grown into a widely recognized Montana brand with multiple retail locations, university kiosks, a mobile truck called Cone Boy, and franchises in Helena, Billings, and Great Falls. A Helena native, Beaton holds a BS in Business Administration from the University of Montana. He serves as president of the Missoula Downtown Business Improvement District and is board member of both the Downtown Missoula Partnership and the Missoula Economic Partnership. Charlie, along with his Barbie, have 2 daughters, both graduates of Gonzaga University in Spokane. So, with those introductions out of the way, we'll get started. Kristen, you have a presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate City Club Missoula for hosting us and getting to tell a little bit about our story as an organization over the past 50 years. I'm going to walk you down memory lane. Some of you may have been here during that time, and some of you may be so new to Missoula you had no idea that any of this was going on back in the day. Starting out, who remembers this? Anybody? I think there's probably a few of you here who remember this. For those who aren't really sure what this viewpoint is, this is actually this junkyard, for lack of a better term, is actually where the carousel is today. And you're looking east towards obviously the M, and then this very nondescript parking lot is where Caras Park is today. So this was early 70s, and it was about this time that word on the street was a mall was being built, and the downtown merchants were getting a little nervous nervous about that business being pulled away. So they came together and said, hey, we can, if we band together, we can support each other and lift each other up and remind people to keep coming to our downtown. Again, it was started in 1975, and by 1981, the organization had officially become the Missoula Downtown Association, and they had 60 members with a budget of $30,000. And again, the whole focus was to keep people coming into the downtown, and so it remained vibrant and active. So moving ahead into the latest 80s, downtown was still navigating. How do you deal with a mall that's, pulling people to another location within the community? Great to, have different areas in our community be active and vibrant, but you want to make sure your downtown is vibrant and active. When it's the heart of your community, as downtown goes, the rest of your community goes. So when your downtown is maybe not as active, perhaps the rest of your community isn't. So keeping different active places for commerce is important for a vibrant community. So I really love this ad on the left. It says support your local businesses, and it says shop downtown in the great outdoors, so it's throwing a little bit of shade at the mall, but very subtly, that you want to get out and have your fresh air and support businesses and take in the views. You can't see the mountains inside the mall. So I love that little ad. And then by 1986, Out to Lunch was started. Who was here and went to that first year of Out to Lunch? Anybody? Wonderful. Okay, so you know how important that event was to getting people in the downtown. It's a pretty standard business practice for downtowns to have events, and it's without events, you kind of don't have much as a draw. You have your shopping, but people don't need to shop every single day, but they want different things to do. You eat every day, so why not have free music and lunch available along our river? It's a really wonderful program. It's still going today, and next year it's celebrating 40 years. As active program, and it's definitely the longest running in the state. I'm not sure across the country, but I would imagine there's not many events out there that have been running for 40 years straight. And about this same time, we had our first full-time employee, Pat Simmons. Does anybody know who Pat Simmons is? J.K. Simmons' mom, yes, was our first official employee and secretary, and she helped launch Out to Lunch. So we're incredibly grateful for her stewardship in those early years to get things up and running for our organization. Moving ahead just a little bit more, when I was doing research for this presentation earlier this year, lots of wonderful articles. I will say Pat was wonderful about maintaining historic records of what was going on in news articles, and found this article when Bob Zimmerino, I'm not sure if he's in the room, but back in the day, 1988, he was president of the organization, and he said, I see a pretty positive picture downtown. If we can get all the players pushing in the same direction, I have a lot of interest in seeing everyone doing well. And then by the end of the year, he wrote, downtown Missoula has begun to blossom again as vacant spaces become businesses. Professional, retail, and restaurant businesses, as well as service industries, are making our downtown once again a thriving, fun place to be. As changes take place, the easiest ones to integrate are the ones that are well thought out and planned. As our downtown grows, we should become more and more capable of ensuring that it won't be temporary, but for the long term through better planning. In the end, it still comes down to us. So even back in 1988, I think the organization recognized you need a center point and an anchor in your downtown of somebody who's willing to step up and raise their hand and say, we're gonna be here for your community and your businesses, and what can we do and how can we help? So a lot of wonderful forward thinking even back then. Moving ahead just a little bit, this is in 1991. This is Out to Lunch. Hard to imagine Out to Lunch like this now. It's so different. The landscape excuse me, has certainly changed for Out to Lunch, but you can see how important it was to the community even back then. And I love this slide. So this was our downtown directory in '91. There were approximately 150 members, but it had expanded beyond just retailers. You're talking professional businesses and people who believed in the mission of the Downtown Association, and again, wanting to create that collaboration to create strength through our downtown. And what I love about this, if you notice those businesses on the right, they're still here, they're still members, they're still really important pieces of our community. So kudos to them for still being involved with our organization and still being a part of the fabric of our downtown. So next time you patronize any of these, give them a kudos and say thank you for being a part of our downtown for so long. Moving forward just a tiny bit more, John Romer. I know John's not here today, but, you know, looking good, buddy. This was actually his second term in '93. His first presidency was '81. So I imagine just the changing landscape of being a president in the early days of the organization, and a little over 10 years later, how things had shifted not only as the organization, but in the downtown. By this point, we were up to 200 members, and half of which were actually from the professional community. He said a couple of really wonderful things in this article. He said, "The health and vitality of this downtown exceeds that of any in the state. Other communities are jealous of what we have here. Increasing the group's membership is always a priority. The potential for growth is good." And he said, "I have a hard time really envisioning how things might be in 10 years, but we can't afford to be stagnant," which we definitely have not been stagnant ever since then, I would say. So moving forward, in 1999, Linda McCarthy was hired, and I don't think that train has stopped since. It's been 26 years of tremendous growth for the organization, going from, that low 200s amount of membership to where we are today. We went from 1 full-time employee to 9. We moved from a small office above Bagels on Broadway to 218 East Main, and we are property owners of that now. We bought that space back in 2015, so we are walking that walk of investing in our downtown. We added Garden City Brewfest, Downtown Tonight, River City Roots Festival, added the BID along with a second renewal, not 1, but 2 master plans, added the Missoula Downtown Foundation to help fund projects and programs. We've raised and then reinvested more than $3.5 million back into the downtown via the foundation. So thank you to I know there are a few MDF board members, and our leader of the foundation, Carrie Harper, is here as well. So thank you to all of them for stewarding that. We've grown the MDA membership to over 250 members. The Downtown Gift Card Program annually sells over $520,000 a year in gift cards, with the redemptions going back into businesses about $450,000. That's a significant amount of money getting pumped back into our local businesses, creating that cycle of keeping money rotating around in our community. It's not going out. We've expanded the downtown flower baskets, boulevard banners, holiday decor, and we tend to be a premier example of downtown planning and management. We've become a mentor for many downtowns across the country. I think Linda gets several calls a year. "Hey, how did you do this? We want to start a master plan. We want to start a BID. How do you do that?" So we're super honored that we're on the map, and our vibrant downtown is recognized as being strong as an organization across the board. So I would say the constant theme throughout Linda's tenure and really through, I think, the entire lifespan of the organization is connecting our community. When we connect, it creates that stronger sense of place, sense of purpose, sense of belonging. I don't know if anybody was at Holidays on Higgins this past weekend. I don't think you get more connected and holly jolly than that. That really speaks to, I think, not only our work, but how important local things are for the Missoula community and how much we want to belong and be with each other. So I think that's incredibly important, and we really work very hard to make sure that is at the forefront of everything we do. We've worked to promote, support, and enhance downtown and create a place for everyone to belong and create a sense of community during a time where it feels a little bit harder to sit and harder to connect and relate to that person next to you. But I think Missoula does a really good place of that, and we'd like to think we're a piece of that puzzle. And then I think for downtown, I love this quote. I found this in an article. Third places are spaces as an anchor. They root us in our humanity and our identity in relation to others, reinforcing community through respite and the ease they offer. An important component of true third places is how they level the statuses of individuals within them. They are not fueled by socioeconomic gatekeeping, and people are free to come and go without obligation or financial burden. And we'd like to think that we do that at the Downtown Partnership, making sure downtown continues to be a third space for everybody, that our businesses continue to be vibrant. We're constantly working and trying to figure out how do we do better, how can we connect people, what else do our businesses need, what else does our community need. I think we're doing a good job. Good job, Linda. So I'm really proud. I will admit, I am not a native-born Montanan. I've only been here 12 years, and I am very lucky to be in the role that I am at because I get to connect to this community and be a part of it. And since I'm not home, this is like my family. Y'all are my family now. So thank you for allowing me to be part of it. Oops. That wasn't supposed to happen. There we go. So I want to thank that. And then we mentioned the refresh earlier this year, which is exciting. All these organizations came online at different times. And as a marketing person, my brain was like, oh my gosh, this is so cattywampus. Like, we can't have this. So Blake Nicolazzo and her team at Bonfire Brands did our brand refresh earlier this year. So I will tell you, it's been so nice having a united front so we can tell our story and support downtown better. And I think that's all I have to say. We'll talk more and have more questions, but thank you for going down a trip down memory lane with me.
Okay, there we go. Well, it's after 12, so I'll say good afternoon. I'm Charlie Beaton with Big Dipper, and just recently, this last year we had our 30-year anniversary, and to me it just seems like it really went by really fast, but I was just watching the movie Back to the Future recently, and Marty McFly hops in the DeLorean in 1985, and he goes back all the way to 1955, and I was like, whoa. That's 30 years. That in the movie, that seems like this really big gap in time, and I guess that's the same as it is for us. But so it just kind of made me think, geez, I'm happy that we're still in business and very fortunate. I wanted to show you this first slide because I find it really kind of fun. It came from a book called Missoula. Then and Now. I think Phil Meckling and Stan Cohen wrote it. But it's really interesting because this is the corner of Big Dipper. And this is Babs. This is the building that was, I guess, the Boys and Girls Club now, the Vera Donuts. And this is the corner. And when I bought the property, these two concrete parts were still on the ground. And we pulled some tanks out of the ground, but I just find it really interesting. So this corner was a gas station, and then my building became a gas station in the 1940s and 50s, and it has been a lot of things. It's been a yogurt shop, it's been a Euro shop, it was a catering business and a sandwich shop right before Big Dipper took it over. But so it's a really interesting history of the corner of 5th and Higgins. I'll go back just a little bit further, though. I went to school at the University of Montana. I got a degree in business. And I worked at Goldsmiths, and I bet a lot of you remember Goldsmiths. I know I worked with Dan Chemis' daughter, Deva, at Goldsmiths. And I became the ice cream maker there. And it was the greatest job I ever had. I worked at McDonald's in high school, so making ice cream was a dream job. And as I got close to graduating, the owner, Dick Goldsmith, wasn't too interested in expanding the business. And I had a degree in business management, and I couldn't get a job being the manager there. So I went off and I got a real job, and I worked in insurance for a couple of years. But that whole time, I kept thinking about the best job I ever had was making ice cream. So I started Big Dipper in 1995. Tim O'Leary, who I grew up with in Helena, he and his then wife, Susie, had come to Missoula thinking about opening a brewery, specifically a U brew. And I don't know if people know this, but I'll just a little sidetrack. Big Sky Brewery opened at the same time as a big brewery like it is today. But the Kettle House was just a U brew. And it was a concept where you'd go in and brew your own beer. So he set up shop on the corner, or on Myrtle, right behind where Big Dipper is now. And I had a little corner in there, and that's where I was making ice cream for the first year. And then I got the opportunity to move around the corner to where we are today on 5th and Higgins. And from there, I had a partner for a little while, Dale Bickle, who's the Chief Administrative Officer of the city of Missoula. And my wife, I had just gotten married to Barbie, my wife. And away we go. We tried a lot of things in that corner. In addition to ice cream, we had a juice bar for a while. We made chocolates, and we were an espresso bar, too. And so I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, go to work, make espresso. We had a little drive-through, and I'd serve coffee all morning. Then I'd make ice cream all afternoon, and then I would go home for a little bit, and then I would scoop ice cream every night. And I did that for several years, and it was a lot of fun. And things changed over time. Here, forgot. There's the day we opened. So you can see how the building's changed a little bit. And then in 2001, I had our daughter, Aileen. And so my wife, as I was making ice cream, my wife was scooping ice cream, and she would take shifts and scoop ice cream with my daughter in the baby Bjorn. So, and that worked for a while until she got a little bit bigger. And so both my wife and I were pretty involved early on in the business. In about 2003, Dale went off to bigger things, working for Missoula County and then eventually the city of Missoula. So it's been Barbie and I since then. And those are our kids. And in 2013, our family was on Good Morning America. They had a little series on the best ice creams in America, and so they brought our family out to New York for that, and that was a pretty exciting time. They actually made, I can't remember what slides we have here, but they made a small Big Dipper. Like, it looked like the shop. They built a set in Times Square, and that was mind-blowing. When we showed up that morning, the lady was like, "You won't believe what we made for you guys." So we did that. That time around between 2010 and 2013 really was, to me, the turning point for Big Dipper. And there's a couple things that happened. The first thing that happened was when I really realized that the importance of collaborating. And I had by that time, I had a lot of friends that owned restaurants downtown. And so we had this idea that we would work with our friends who were chefs, and each chef would have a different week and come up with different ice cream flavors. So Bob Marshall from Biga had his week. Doug Smith, a friend of ours who was a chef at the time, he came up with specials. Jason Willenbrock from Posh Chocolat, he came up with specials. And Paul Myers, who owned 515 and before that had worked at the Bridge, he came up with specials. And it was this whole new thing where we realized that Big Dipper was more than, vanilla, huckleberry, chocolate, whatever. We could come up with some really interesting specials and ideas. So that really kind of changed the trajectory of things, where we started working more with other businesses in town. The other big thing I think really changed for us was we were one of the first businesses that had a Twitter account and a Facebook page. And we started making cold smoke ice cream with the Kettle House using their ingredients. And we put it on Twitter. Twitter was brand new, but the news stations and a few people were starting to use it. And we'd put that we have cold smoke ice cream, and people instantly, like we would look out the window and people were just showing up in the parking lot. And that was such a new thing for us. Like, wow, this is like interesting free marketing, and it works really well. Today, it still works well, but in a whole different way. There's this algorithm, and we might have 20,000, fans on Facebook or something, but when you put something out there, not everybody sees it anymore without paying them. But it was kind of the Wild West of social media back then, and it was really great. Moving forward, in 2010, we opened a franchise in Helena, which has gone great ever since. And with the help of Brian Hickey, we started the Cone Boy ice cream truck. And that's been going strong ever since. You've seen it at, obviously, all the out to lunch and downtown tonights. And then 5 years later, we opened a franchise in Billings. Brian was also a partner in that with me at the time. And so things have been going great. The only blip, I would say, was the pandemic, but it was that way for everybody else. We opened a store in Paxton Plaza across from the mall in 2020, which has done great, but the first couple of years were really rough because we opened the same day that they had the mask mandate and Black Lives Matter, and it was kind of a rough time. We were so excited for this new store, but I couldn't even get half my friends to come to the opening. It was a little bittersweet, but it's going great now. Just looking back, I was thinking just what has changed since 1995 till today, and a lot of things are the same. I mean, if you go to Big Dipper, it hasn't changed a ton. But back then, we hardly had any kids working for us. We had mostly college students working for us and adults. And that's the big change. Like, we had our Big Dipper Christmas party last night, and there was nobody drinking because nobody was old enough to drink. Whereas our early Christmas parties were really wild, as Brian and Amy can attest to that. So, yeah, we had people with, working on their master's degrees and law school scooping ice cream, but that doesn't really happen too much anymore. It's also very expensive now. Everything is more expensive. The cost of labor, insurance is crazy, the cost of all the goods, everything. And so to open that store today, I feel it would be so much harder. And it used to be, my friends would open businesses. You'd see something downtown, space, and you'd just rent it, and you'd open a coffee shop, you'd open a pizza store, whatever it is. And today, the cost of rent, insurance, all that is so prohibitive. So I feel bad for the younger generation that it's so much harder to go into business today. But mostly the key to the success of Big Dipper, I'd say, is the people. We've had amazing employees. And I have 3 of them here today that I wanted to point out. One is Amy Mans, who's worked for me for 17 years. She can stand if she wants to. And Amy is responsible for hundreds of thousands of gallons of ice cream being made. She's been in charge of all that for 17 years. So I really appreciate all the years she's been with us. A few years ago, I hired Kelsey Krug, and she could stand too if she wants to. And she runs all the operations for Big Dipper and does all the hiring, and she's really the heart of Big Dipper and been a big change for our company. And it's nice having someone a little bit younger and to keep things fresh, and I feel like our company can grow easier with having some younger people working for us. And then I want to point out especially Brian Hickey. Brian's worked for me for 25 years. And that's a really big deal today because I can't think of very many businesses or people that do careers for 25 years, besides Linda. And so anyway, I just want to point out how much I appreciate my great management team over there. Yeah, looking forward, our company's still growing. We're going to do a little coffee shop next to our spot on Paxson, and working on maybe a store up in Kalispell. And who knows, we're just having fun and hoping to keep it growing. I might have had a few more slides, I forgot. The truck, this is our news store. There's Brian when he first started making ice cream and scooping ice cream. And there's our management team. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks for those presentations. We're going to take a break right now. We'll do our table talk portion of the program. So for the next 10 minutes, I'd like you all to get together with your table mates and think up a question or maybe even a couple questions for our panelists up here. Here are the rules and guidelines for table talk. You can appoint one person at your table to ask an agreed upon question for Q&A. So yeah, get to know your table mates, introduce yourselves, talk, come up with a question, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, everybody, welcome back. I can sense there are lots of great questions brewing out there, so we'll get started with our Q&A portion. We'll have two board members walking around the room with microphones, so when it's your turn to ask a question, stand up, introduce yourself, and ask your questions. Some of the guidelines there, keep the questions respectful, avoid making statements or giving us your autobiography. Avoid multiple part questions, and if there are members of the media that want to ask questions, we'll wait till the end of the program for that. So let's get started. Who wants to ask a question first?
Well, thank you for great presentation. I'm sitting here with some current and former leaders and been interested in the history they added to what you've said. We have a question. Given the difficulty of businesses to get started now, as was mentioned by Brian and others, wondering what the partnership, Linda and your crew, think of things that might be done to facilitate the kind of growth that was possible previously that is so difficult now, and how a young person, entrepreneur, might proceed to enter this pretty daunting environment. Thank you.
That's a hard question to start with, and thank you. I think there's a few things that we are doing. Of course, Missoula Economic Partnership has done a lot of work in supporting the creation and expansion of businesses. We've talked a lot about smaller retail spaces. If you were in retail, you'd get a 3,000 square foot space, and now it might be a 1,200 square foot space or maybe a 500 square foot space. You're seeing partnerships happening between businesses. You're seeing a lot of people getting started with things like the Maker's Market or vending at one of the farmers markets or at out to lunch. You're seeing people taking advantage of things like Accelerate Montana at the University of Montana or the Blackstone Launchpad. But the fact of the matter is, our property taxes and our property rentals have definitely really gone up a lot. So how do we bring them back down so that, normal people can afford to open a space? It's a significant challenge. And we don't have, all the answers. But the more that we can do to build connections, build partnerships. One of the things we've been talking about lately is community land trusts for commercial use. We've talked a lot about what to do with the library block next door, and how do we, create something that can be a little bit more affordable. So, there's some examples that we've seen in other communities, and it's definitely important work that we're thinking about and talking about quite often.
Hello, my name is Carmen Ebert. I work in multimedia production here in Montana, and we were wondering, what makes Missoula downtown so special? What about it really draws people in and allows people to stay here and thrive?
I've got a closing video to share with you at the end of the day that'll kind of spell that out. And it's not just one single thing. But really it's people, right? It's the people in our community. It's us looking at each other in the eye and saying hello, stopping to let pedestrians cross the road, being an open, welcoming community, right? It's also about place. The place that we have, that we take care of in the downtown district, but its connection to outdoor spaces, the parks, the trails, the river that runs through it. It's also locally owned businesses. You walk into the store and you're seeing the owner. You're seeing, the employee that's been there for 15 years. And you're meeting new and young people. I think also the university plays a significant role in our community as a place that we want to be, because we are so wealthy with arts and cultural activities, in addition to amazing sports. And but what brings people to downtown is, the park, the people, the markets, the admission-free, live music events that we have. Your banker, your accountant, your ice cream maker. Those are all important. What would you add to that?
This building we're sitting in is an example. We've been intentionally built some really amazing places, and I always think like the fact that Starbucks couldn't even make it here says a lot about Missoula, because everyone wants a Starbucks downtown or whatever, but in Missoula, we said no, but we have all these other great local businesses. And I was just telling Linda when we were taking that break, what's so cool about the hip strip is all the businesses there. Those are all the businesses when I travel that I'm looking for that type of thing in the town I go to. We have record stores, coffee shops, and ice cream stores and everything. It's just such a unique, cool thing. So.
Hi, Craig Stahlberg. I'm a long-term Missoulian, member of Sentinel Kiwanis with a couple of my friends. You should all consider it. You talked a bit about, when the mall came up and the concerns for downtown. You didn't really expand on, the 90s when Reserve Street and all of the box stores, and then now with the internet and Amazon. What is the future for downtown local business when you think of this huge compilation of forces acting against it? And what can downtown businesses do to distinguish themselves?
Can you hear me? All right. Thanks for the hard question, Craig. I can't predict the future, but we've been seeing online sales and Amazon sales now for, 15, 20 years. Retail is a changing landscape all the time. And, we all have and enjoy different experiences. But, if you want to stay at home in your house and shop on your phone, I don't think you're going to have a very good time doing that. But if you want to come downtown and meet your friends and go to Shop Small Saturday or Dine Downtown Week, you're going to connect to your community. You're going to be with people that you enjoy. You're going to have a beer at Red's Bar after you've done your shopping. And that doesn't compare to your experience shopping online. I think our businesses have had to get a lot more savvy and, prop up those online platforms. Particularly during COVID when our entire downtown was shut down, everybody had to pivot. And it's going to continue to be that way. But we're not competing with Amazon. I mean, you might think that we are, but we really provide something completely different. And it's really about the experience. It's about supporting your neighbors and your friends. It's about bringing people together to support what you love in the community, and that means it's intentional that you should be shopping downtown at locally owned businesses. And we will always have box stores, and we will always have online shopping, and those bring things to our community that maybe wouldn't be here otherwise. We know a lot of people that come into town to go to Costco or to hit up one of our 2 Walmarts. I don't know anybody that has 2 full-service Walmarts in a town this size. But we draw from a larger area, and they're coming downtown before and after they go to the Grizz game or to Costco or whatever. So as long as we're creating a place where people want to go, a destination, people will continue to shop downtown and support our businesses.
And kind of what you're saying, it's like for my business, I'm selling an experience. You can go to the grocery store and you can get great ice cream. A lot of places you can get great ice cream, but you're going to Big Dipper for the experience, and you just have to be intentional about shopping local. We're not going to buy everything local. We're going to use Amazon, but downtown has so many great things.
Hi. We love downtown, and as you said, have a lot to offer as models for other communities. But if you could steal one thing from another downtown with no limits, what would it be?
I've seen a downtown that had a street. They closed the main street, and it was crazy, and it works. And they ran a train straight down the middle of it, so people can go back and forth. People in Missoula would love it, I'm sure.
I agree with that. I think a pedestrian plaza would be awesome. I went to Ithaca College in New York, and they shut down this was many, many, many years ago. They shut down a main section of their downtown, and it's just a pedestrian plaza now. And they redid it, oh gosh, it was about 10 years ago now, and it's just like thriving now. And then I think like a trolley system would be awesome, would be super fun. Ding, ding, goes the trolley.
As somebody who's been really working a lot around Riverfront Triangle, I always thought it'd be really nice that if we had a convention center and, a place that would draw, a massive number of people to conferences and community events. We have a lot of great community event space, but it's hard to find a place that you can do an event for 500 or 800 people. We don't have that. But there aren't very many other downtowns, if any, that I've been like, oh, I wish we were more like that. I don't feel that way.
Our table was also wondering about the entrepreneurs in our community. One thing that had been brought up both with Charlie's talk and had mentioned in one of your answers was around the partnerships that businesses are having. Can you speak to some of the benefits of being a business member that is around collaboration, or if there are avenues that businesses that have been in the community for a while can mentor younger businesses?
I think there's quite a bit of that happens. So as a membership-based organization, we do provide a suite of support services. We have just over 500 businesses that are members of the association. I think when you're a business owner, it's lonely. And you think you're in this alone, but when you start, networking, connecting with other businesses, you find out that, people are going through the same things. And so, we do a lot of networking socials. We've propped up a new program called Downtown Dialogues in partnership with MEP, where we're bringing business owners together to talk about their struggles. We do workshops to help business owners learn about things. When you're a business owner, oftentimes in a downtown environment, you're bringing your expertise, your talent, your hobby, your favorite thing to do, and you create your own business, but you don't always know, how to do all the things around accounting or insurance or, property management or HR management. So there's a lot of things to learn as a new entrepreneur. We're very lucky that, we have the university, and there's been intentional work in our community to really think more about how we grow from within and how we build entrepreneurship with the people in our community instead of looking at how we recruit. And I'll just use DirecTV as an example, a large company to the marketplace that brings the people here. We have so much talent in our own community, and we see people all the time, particularly through, all three of our markets, through, our vending operations, through the makers market, and a lot of those opportunities for people to prop up their businesses with support from others. We do a lot of sort of general marketing and membership services. Maybe I should pass the microphone. We do a lot of events and activities that bring people together. So we're very fortunate that we have those, pathways for businesses and partnerships to, help support them. You guys want to add to that?
I'll just say very early on, I got involved with downtown, and I've been on the BID board for quite a while now, and I've networked with so many people. I've made a lot of friends through doing that, so it's helped my business.
Hi there. Our table was thinking about the future generations and our current kids in Missoula. In what direction can we point them in as they head into their future? And so we were wondering, what gaps do we have downtown? We've got ice cream covered. We brainstormed that we don't have mini golf. But what are other kind of holes that our kids can fill as they think about their place in Missoula?
I think one of the things that's missing is third spaces for kids of a certain age, right? If you buy men's clothing, where are you going? If you buy baby clothing, where are you going? I think teenagers sometimes feel like we have a gap. And that could be, both a place to hang out and play, or it could be, products that we don't have. We hear people say a lot, oh, we need a small grocer, and the one that people really want, but they don't really want that. They just want something like that. We've got, a couple grocery stores just 6 and 8 blocks off of Higgins, but, that small little grocery store that everybody really thinks would be great for Missoula, I don't know. I think that we have a lot of different choices and options, and, that walkability is different depending upon how old you are. Are you willing to walk 6 blocks, or does that feel too far?
I'm hoping they'll build the ice ribbon downtown. I think that would be a great thing for year-round, and that young people would go to.
I'm Xavier. I'm from the library. We were wondering, do you ever have downtown business owners that come to you and say, my rent went up, I can't afford it anymore, and how do those conversations go, or is there anything you guys are able to do or would like to do?
Yes, it happens. Yes, it's happening more today than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. There was a time when you couldn't get somebody into a space because they didn't really want to be downtown. And it's challenging. The good news is, through our business improvement district, we have relationships with our property owners, and about 80% of our property owners are local. So we always say, get to know your landlord, build a relationship, build a partnership, particularly with, property taxes and insurance going up. It's been a relatively strong theme, I think. And sometimes it means, you got to figure out a way to pay that increase. Maybe you're doing a 1-year lease agreement instead of a 3 or 5-year lease agreement. Maybe there's an opportunity to bring in a partner to help cover the cost or share the space. We saw Montgomery Distillery bring in a coffee pop-up inside the distillery for a while this summer. We saw, a coffee shop prop up in, First Interstate Bank lobby. So there's a couple of examples. You look at Missoula Makers Market, they were in a co-location with Pearl Boba Tea. They moved over to a tiny little 300 square foot space, and they're propping up support for 40 businesses. So you got to get creative. And then we have to figure out how to increase sales over time. The more you shop downtown, the easier it is for them to pay their rent. And then also that step into entrepreneurship really is moving into building ownership. You look at Betty's Divine, and she had a small little store on West Main Street, or she worked for a store on West Main Street, and then she opened her own store, and then she bought the building next door and moved in. So you see kind of that gradient step up. And we also say, and Julie should probably be answering this question, make sure you know your banker. Make sure that, you've got 5-year cash flow that, cash flows in the black and not in the red. And, if you can't afford that space, then, what are your other options in Missoula? Because we do have a lot of different places that people could be as well. So it's really working with them one-on-one and going with that.
Hi, my name is Cole Aragon. I do real estate here in the area. I just wanted to add to your answer there. I talk with a lot of property owners, commercial property owners as well, and a lot of them are very open to creative financing, holding the note on the property and working some sort of seller financing deal if they know that a local entrepreneur is looking to launch a business in their space. They're very willing. You just need to, again, know the landlord and pitch them your idea, or talk with a commercial real estate agent or an agent that is well connected to the community. My question is, how many of those businesses do we think own their real estate that have been on the board of like the Bitterroot Flowers? I know they own their real estate. But I'd be curious to know. That'd be a good stat,
Thank you for the feedback, Paul, and the input. That's helpful. Cole, sorry. I heard Paul. Cole, nice to meet you. I think your question is how many businesses have served on one of the boards? How many of the people on the list own their property? I'd have to go through the list and check it off, but probably over 50%. Probably quite a bit, yeah. But not everybody does.
It was much easier to do it 20 years ago. Buying our building wasn't that big a deal. Today it would be very, very hard for a little ice cream shop to buy their own business, I think, or building.
I'm not sure we answered your question.
First of all, I just got to say big fan, all three of you. Charlie, you've done more for the community as Big Dipper than anybody I know off the top of my head. So God bless you. But our table, we have well, no, I guess everybody's really asked our questions. My question is, I feel like we're focusing a lot on like negatives. What's got you excited? All three of you.
For me, it's luckily for me, I have a fun business. Ice cream is really fun. People are happy to get ice cream. I have an incredible team of people that I work with. So for me, it's all about fun. I just want to have fun, and I like challenges, and I want to see our company keep growing, and that's it for me, really. And I really, truly love Missoula and downtown Missoula. It's just, there's so much fun to be had here.
I think for me, it's like downtown is not stagnant. Like we kind of consistently have something new going on, new businesses coming on. We have that natural ebb and flow of businesses coming and going, and that's healthy. You want to have, businesses come and go in some ways, even though sometimes it kills you. Like when Redbird closed, I was like, no, the champagne fondue. That's so sad. But the fun thing is new things come in, and new things are coming in, and I think. I think there's a lot of investment in the downtown. It continues to be a place people want to be. So I think that's exciting. Like, we're not fighting against, like, oh, God, we can't get any businesses to come here. We can't get anybody to come downtown. We're fighting, well, if you were at Holidays on Higgins, it was like, oh, gosh, there's like 10,000 people down here right now, and where do I go? So, and all the businesses, all the restaurants were full, and you're like, well, I'm hungry. So it's great. That's a great problem. So that's what excites me, is that people continue to come downtown. They continue to believe in our downtown. Businesses continue to believe in our downtown. And I think, I've been involved with this organization for over, 10 years now, and just the shift in the 10 years I've been involved, it's all positive. Like, I don't really see hardly any negatives. There's challenges, of course there's challenges. That's the natural way of life. But I think for our organization, there's so many positives, like to the point where like we could double our staff and still have a lot going on and to support. So I'm not bored. Our organization is not bored, so that's exciting, and it's creative, and I think that, and Missoulians continue to support downtown. Small Business Saturday, for me, that's one of my initiatives, and Dine Local Week, and as two examples, and people continue to believe in our local businesses, and that is really heartening, and I love to see that. So I think it's all positive, yeah, I think. Well, maybe not all, but it's pretty positive.
I think it's definitely the people and the work that we do is fun and exciting. And I want to close out today with a video that really talks about the why and, what we are excited about. And this is a video that was created 12 years ago by one of our beloved downtown businesses that was celebrating its 10th anniversary. And the business owner, is a University of Montana graduate and a musician, and he did the music all by himself. But I think it really speaks to who we are as a community. So here you go. And how many of you went to the tree lighting on Saturday? It's pretty special, wasn't it?
My name's Christy.
My name's Nick.
Jerry Habala. Jay.
Yeah, Josh Mahan.
James.
Tilo.
Buzz.
Keith.
Eddie Moore. Mark.
Hi. Gosh.
Oh, man.
So the question I have for you is, what's your favorite thing about Missoula?
Missoula. My favorite thing about Missoula.
That's a good question.
The people, for sure.
The people.
Probably the people.
Yeah, and the people.
The girls.
The people rock!
Yeah, that's actually what I would say. The people are pretty cool, man.
The weirdness.
It's the nicest place to be in Montana.
Summertime, for sure.
The summertime.
I'm all about the river and the community on said river.
That you can just walk downtown and see anyone you need to.
It's really like a diverse amount of people here.
You're never bored with the people.
It's one of the only places in Montana where there's a constant influx of new-ish people from different places so that you get the culture that you love but with the friendliness.
I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people.
Sense of community is really good in Missoula.
I would say the community. Everyone kind of looks out for each other and is, you know, down to party together or down to raise money together.
I would also say the community in general. And everyone kind of, I feel like they kind of take care of each other for the most part.
Open and free and tolerant and forgiving and accepting.
I think my favorite thing about Missoula has been able to spend so much time outdoors. That's kind of what makes it easy, is you have 4 seasons here.
I can ride a bike everywhere.
The music that comes through on a regular basis.
The music community here, actually. It's very accessible and everyone supports each other.
A lot of things that you can do here that I guess you couldn't do in like a big city.
You're just barely out of town. You can go like skiing.
I love the feel of Missoula. I think Missoula has a very, I don't know, warm feeling that wherever you go, everybody's happy and nice, and I don't know, I can't really describe it.
It's open to a lot of things and accepting of a lot of things, more so than a lot of places.
That doesn't really matter what you're into. Missoula has a place for you to be, to hang out and meet new people.
For me, it's home. It's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no thing that can get us all worried, like tornadoes and stuff.
There is a really robust spirit. It's infectious. It's like a tractor beam. And I just love it here, and I'll probably always be here.
It's definitely the sense of community all the way across, between the market on Saturdays and how easy it is to just sit down anywhere, at a bar, at a restaurant, at a park bench, and make a friend.
It's a real nice place.
It's hard to define, but it's very comfortable here. I don't feel afraid of anything. I can go anywhere at any time and do whatever I want and feel relaxed.
I just love the environment, actually. I love how it's like a pretty young city to live in, and it's like everything about it.
It's just the right size. I moved here from New York, and I don't miss it one bit.
I love the coffee shops. I like coffee, and they're everywhere.
Thank you for being here in our downtown community.
All right. Well, on that note, let's thank our panelists, Kristen, Linda, and Charlie. This was a lot of fun. And thanks for celebrating your significant anniversaries with us, with our significant anniversary. Yeah, we're going into 2026. Our forum in January will be about development out at the Y. So join us for that one. That's still waiting to finalize panelists on that one, but it should be a good one. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for a great 2025. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support.